It's early in the morning, grab a cup and tune on in. Robert and Dave got that southern charm, let the laughter begin. From the morning funny to MAGA minute, ain't no better way to start your day the southern way, with a little joke and pray. We're just southern folks talking southern things, front porch swinging where the church bells rang. From mama said to hum day news, we keep it real with down home views. Sunday morning in the Word, get that gospel flow. Prayer time calls, so let's let our troubles go. Come Monday night, mama said, is bringing the truth. And when it's night talk with Dave, man, you know it's getting loose. We're just southern folks talking southern things, stories and sports where the good times hang. From SFP news to I remember that, we tell it like it is, and that's a fact. Got our veteran of the week, gotta show our pride. Pets of the week, bringing love worldwide. Talking paranormal, digging true crime. Southern fried stories all the dang time. So pull up a chair, y'all, and stay a while. Ain't nothing like that southern style. From the morning show to the soundstage band, it's SFP Live, won't you give 'em a hand? So pull up a chair, y'all, and stay a while. Ain't nothing like that southern style. From the morning show to the soundstage band, it's SFP Live, won't you give 'em a hand?
All right. It is good to be here tonight, late night, with you. The speech went on for a bit, and that's cool. I mean, there was a lot in there. We certainly wouldn't have time to unpack it all this evening, but did want to give some post commentary, and especially because I've been sick, I missed some programs. I wanted to get online, so I appreciate those that have came in to the stream, and I hope you got to watch the speech and the spectacle, which is this address to Congress, not a State of the Union, but an address to Congress with much of the same pomp and circumstance that's afforded the State of the Union. There is a lot in that speech. There was a lot of activity going on, as you've seen if you watched it, especially early on, but throughout. There was negativity, obviously, from the Democrats. You get it. There's a partisanship that goes on, and there has been sometimes from the right, those that hollered out. It was, controversial. People spoke against it when they did it. But this was much more than that. So just to be fair, there has been times where Republicans shouted out famously. We remember a couple of three that shouted out and called the president a liar. There was a lot of information, or a lot of commentary about that, rather, and back at the time. And so we do remember that. We'll point that out to be fair. But this was on a much larger scale. Obviously, what was going on from the seats on the left for the Democrats, and especially Senator Al Green from Texas, who he stood up and waved his cane around, his stick or cane or whatever. He always has it with him. He's been serving since, I think, 2005, and hollered some things out, and he was warned and was asked to sit down, I think twice, and then refused to, hollered again, and was removed. There was maybe one other one removed. I didn't get a chance to follow up on that. I had read that two were. And then there was one who left sort of midstream, not quite halfway through, who got up and left. And then they all, you know, fleed the place. You know, they ran out, as they say, at the end. An amazing speech, a lot of powerful people there. You know, their stories. I always enjoy those. We celebrate people. We celebrate Americans, and very touching. Every one of them. I mean, people who lost children, children being honored. The young man who said that his application for the point was accepted. The look on his face. You know, the parents. You know, reactions to that. Amazing and awesome, and I love that. Quite a few telling things through it. I mean, you know, just as an overview, I would say this. So listen, you know, you don't be childish. I mean, you know, you can disagree with the president of the United States. Absolutely. This is America. You can do that. But let's not be disrespectful to the office of president. And there were things there that is truly, just because of your hatred for the president, there were some things there that, and even the president, he being President Trump, said that no matter what I do, no matter if I, you know, solved the greatest disease or had the greatest economy or, you know, whatever, they're never going to cheer. They're never going to stand. And it's true. And there were a handful, I think they were Democrats, at a couple of points that had a little bit of clapping. I think I seen one or two that stood up for a couple of things, but by and large, I mean, the majority, 99% of them, would not sit. In fact, were, you know, showing their little paddles and stuff that said, that's a lie, or well, I forget what the other side said. It hit me in a minute, but there were things there that every American could share about, and because of their hatred for the president, uh, you have to wonder, do they even love America? Do they have any concern about America? Do they love Americans? There were things there that were not controversial or should not be. A celebration of some of these people in the gallery, those things should not have been. You can celebrate. You can celebrate people, and you didn't see anybody move, and so that's disgusting. That is disgusting from any member of Congress to act that way, petulant, childish, and you know, I question, you know, what, you know, where's your head at? Where's your heart at? You know, and the disrespect of the president coming in to not stand is unconscionable. I would not want to see that, no matter who the president is, that it comes down. This is not an area. This is not a way that we need, a position that we need to descend into as a country, to disrespect that office that way. You can choose other times to be bitterly opposed. You can give press conferences. You can stand up in front of Congress, and you can give your impassioned speech in committees, and you can, you know, go on TV. You can go on the major networks. You can go on podcasts. You can do whatever, and you can say whatever. Pretty much, I mean, within reason, for free speech, and I support that. I would lay down my life for it. But to disrespect the office of president by sitting, and some turning their backs to the president, is unconscionable. And if, you know, this is unbelievable. I'm not saying I'm shocked by it, because I'm not, but I'm shocked to that level. Usually there's always some, and there were a handful at the very beginning of the room that came over and were respectful and talking. But it is, you know, you're always going to get, your cheering section is going to be your party, obviously, and they're going to talk about, you know, they're going to shake hands and they're going to reminisce as they come down the line. But there's always been that common respect that people will turn around and shake hands and at least have a decorum about them. This is still the president of the United States of America. Yes, Michael, childish, absolutely childish. And this is not showing leadership in any way. And this is not. Let's think of this young man in the gallery, and his fight for his health and his life, and this great honor that gave him. And I was so touched by by the hug that he gave the gentleman who came to give him his badge. And man, that bring a tear to your eye. You can't stand up for that. You're sick. You're a sick person. And I question why, why would we don't need people like that in Congress. I don't care which side of the aisle it is. If you can't get up and cheer for a young man like that in his story, you are a sick individual and you are a disgrace to the United States of America. No matter what your political beliefs are, no matter what your moral, personal beliefs are, if you can't celebrate that, you are an embarrassment to Congress. You are an embarrassment to the United States of America, and you make us look bad across the world. And as a whole, they need to be ashamed of themselves. They won't, but I hope they're called out for that. They probably won't be, but except by the Republicans. But their constituents need to say, listen, we want you to just, we don't like the things, we don't like the president doing. We'll just stand against that. But to act that way in that honored place is awful. And I want to applaud Speaker Johnson that he was put in a very difficult position, and he's not always been fully supported, by even the Republicans. There's still controversy there. There's still that group that opposed him and didn't like him, but he's hung on. Give him credit. He's hung on. And he tried his best to not do that. He tried to ride it out. He didn't want to interrupt the president. But at some point, I mean, at one point, you just have to do that. You have to do that. And even the vice president was like, get him out of here. I mean, it's you cannot stand up. Waving a stick, I don't care if you use it to walk or not. Waving a stick at the president of the United States, he should be censured. I don't know what can happen to him. I don't know the rules on that. I know people are calling for him to be kicked out of Congress and all that. I mean, I'm not going to go there tonight, but I think he should be censured, and he should be made an example of, that no other senator or congressperson in that body does anything like that ever again. We cannot allow the Congress of the United States of America to descend into frat house actions. And this gentleman, I don't care what his political affiliation is, to do that. And I know he was hollering about Medicaid, and I get it, and they're trying to cry wolf over everything Doge and everything the president's doing, and he's destroying the country and all these things. But you stand up, and you've already been called out. You've been told to take your seat, and you not only not do that, you wave your stick towards the president and shout at him, and have to be have the call for the sergeant at arms to come and remove you. You have to be censured. I would love to research that if someone knows. I don't know what actions they can take, but he needs to be censured in such a way that he will never do it again or be out, and it will be a lesson to others to not do that. I think that, and they probably knew that somebody was going to be kicked out. Maybe that one action, because I'll be honest with you, I was surprised there weren't some more, and I think there might have been some more that were fixing to be. I really think that the Speaker of the House, I really believe he was within a hair's breadth of clearing that side of Congress out of the hall. I really believe that. And you know what? Because you can't allow that to happen. You cannot allow those kind of actions. So they stayed seated. You know what? Okay. Disrespectful, childish. And again, I'm not saying they have to stand up for and clap, because, in each party does that. Republicans do that. I got no problem with that. But I do have a problem when you don't stand up and you cheer on Americans who are, being honored, or they have lost children. Are you kidding me? You can't, matter if you don't like the Lake and Raleigh Act, or you don't like this, this refuge being named out. If you don't like, you're defending, because that's really what they're doing, is defending the rights of illegals over the rights of Americans. But if you can't stand up and support a family who has lost their loved one due to violence, then you're sick. And you need to, your love for America is certainly questioned, because I don't think they have any. And you just cannot do that. But you know what? America got to see that, and it's disgusting. And something needs to happen. I think that as a body, and hopefully they can tighten up the rules a little bit. It just I'm fine with the cheering. I'm fine with the booing. Sometimes as long as, but they were bringing noisemakers in. This was rumors they brought in noisemakers, and at times it was disruptive while the president was talking. You have that moment to celebrate or boo. That's sure. But when the president goes to speaking again, it's time to shut up. Even if you stand, but shut up. You can't do that. And they finally at least did that, except for a couple of occurrences. Now, the president did throw him a couple of stingers or zingers or whatever you want to call it. Uh, you know, I mean, I guess the biggest one was Pocahontas. That was, to her, and she stayed strong, clapping and everything. It was, it was funny. I think she chuckled herself. But well, sure, yeah. Doge is well, it's like Dodge City, so it's okay. It's Marshall Dillon is in town, and yeah, they're cracking down into their money there. I agree, but it is a great speech. It had so many parts to it but it had a very patriotic theme, and it showed progress. I mean, only 45 days in, it showed this great progress of what they have accomplished and what they hope to accomplish, and ended and kept building toward the crescendo of hope for peace and some other things that are going to be happening along the way. So it was very much a chance for uh, Republicans, MAGA, America First, all those phrases, and people how they stand on the issues, to celebrate and the turnaround, and drill baby drill, as he said. And it was a way to rally Americans, because listen, there's rocky days ahead, and this was a perfect timing. Let me go back and sort of really address that, and we'll have more in the next day on this speech as we break it down. Again, there's a lot of parts to it, but this was a perfect time to have this speech. I didn't realize it was going to happen this quick, but it was perfect timing for that. Because again, there's hard things going on out there, and the president sort of alluded to that there was a little time where there's going to be some difficulties with as we put tariffs in place, as they continue to work on the federal government and the money, and whose jobs and all that. So there are some times ahead. This was a rally to say, listen, stay the course. We're doing great things. Great things are going to happen, and we have opposition over here. Hello, Chickbait. We're going to have opposition over here, so be ready for that. It was a good time to really do that. I think for the president to rally the troops, to celebrate the successes, to be reminded of real issues that happen to real Americans, and why it's important what we're doing. Even if you oppose those things, this was a time to reset and sort of move forward, because I think as he realizes it, he being the president again, that the next days, weeks, and a few months are going to have challenges. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be fluctuations that are a little bit out of their control as they get the handle on the balancing of the budget. That's going to be a big one. He talked about that, the balancing of the budget, which Lord knows I don't know when's the last time they really have ever done that. And I applaud them if they get there, but that's going to be challenging, because there's all the pork that people want to put into the budget, and they're slashing and dashing. But then all the foreign diplomacy, just things that are going on, inflation, the tariffs, and all the things that are going to play into that, energy. It was a time to celebrate new businesses coming in and spending billions of dollars, which is a good thing. And I just think that yeah, you should Google the speech, Chick. And it was a very long speech, and I'd go back and look at video of early on in the speech, especially chaos, a little bit of chaos from the Democrats. But yeah, it was very balanced. I thought that they no, it was addressed to Congress. Chickbait is addressed to Congress. That will come next year when they have the State of the Union. So a little bit longer out, but it was a chance to address Congress. So again, early on, a reset to ride the troops, to go forward, to remind the nation of why he was elected, what they're doing, what promises they're fulfilling, to celebrate those that are in his cabinet, the successes of the military. That was a big one. The rising recruitment numbers, which has been a struggle for so long. The announcement that shipbuilding was going to be brought back to the United States. I've always wondered about that. While we allowed that to get away, the building up of the military, you know, the minerals they're working on, already got agreements on some minerals, new pipelines. Those are big things. Those are things that will help the economy get on track. And the things he was doing with the tariffs. There was a lot of chatter in the news space today from Canada and Mexico, especially Canada, and how they're not going to take it. And there was even the threat from Ottawa to cut off some American, which I think that'd be a big mistake. By the way, we have heavy wind and rain now in my area, so if there's any disruption, uh, we have bad weather all across the southeast, and the schools are on a 2-hour delay. There's up to 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts that could occur across the south. So my granddaughter came in earlier and said, "What is that sound?" And it's just the wind. So pray for us here and all of those in the path that we don't lose power. Trees can fall. It's now raining. I just heard it kick in. So, but those things are going on. But to cut off the power to American citizens, and because they get it from there, that'd be a bad move. That would be a bad move to show your displeasure by cutting off people's power, and they need to watch that. So there's a lot of threats coming out of Canada today. So we'll match, and you don't want to mess with us, and we're with America. We're not going to be treated like this. So he's not backing off. The tariffs are going to continue to happen, and well, that sounds good though. I'm going to tell you what, that sounds like a good meal. I mean, so yeah, I was kind of catching up. I was in a class all day. I had been working on some things on the computer. I'm going to have to buy one more piece of equipment, so I didn't get on earlier. And then it got close to the speech, and I said I'm just going to stay in line and come on after the speech, and then we'll pick up some extra shows the rest of this week because there's a lot going on. Your power has been out, Michael. I understand. Didn't take long for Zelensky to get in line. Yes. He is now He is now saying, I wonder how many times he said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, America. We really appreciate everything you've done, America. We want to sign. He sent the letter. The president talked about the very end of the speech that he sent him a letter. It was in the news. And he said, we're ready to sign that agreement with as soon as is reasonably possible. So they're going to get that done. I bet that was a great meal. Absolutely. Can never forget about some good food. So that's some of my favorite stuff right there. I could actually eat that every day. Honestly, that's good stuff. That's good Southern cooking right there. There you go. but uh, but we really enjoyed the speech. Like I said, it was disgusting to see some of the things that happened. Uh, he talked about all the waste he started bringing up all the numbers. He couldn't get to all of them. He said some were just too improper to mention in the speech of some of the things they were spending money on, the disgusting nature of that. But he did talk about some pretty serious stuff when he talked about the trans the child transgender surgeries, or ways they were indoctrinating them in schools and things they had done against that. Those were tremendously, those got your attention. In other words, some comical moments when they talked about some of the things that were going on around the world. He'll probably catch some heat for what he said about the country in Africa, and he said nobody's heard of. It is very small, but I'm sure that the African Union won't appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, man. You take care. Stay safe, and hope you get your power back on soon. Be careful. You've got some trees around you there too. So you take care. I do too. I hope it doesn't fall across the studio. Oh my goodness, it's the only big tree we have left of the property. In fact, the only tree. Well, we actually have one small one too. Uh, but uh, but yeah, the you know the numbers that he talked about with autism. I mean, we know people obviously are suffering with that. Those were staggering points that he mentioned, and several of these things that he mentioned. Of course, the Democrats were saying, "You're a liar, you're a liar." Sometimes they even hollered out, and yes, Chick, that they were hollering out he was a liar. And of course, when Medicaid was mentioned, and but the numbers, how far they've drastically dropped on the southern border, and what how that's worked. That's a celebration moment. Uh, I like, the military is not allowed to cheer, but I did enjoy that good camera positioning of all those Joint Chiefs, or I don't know exactly if that's the Joint Chiefs, but they were highly decorated military men, and one of them with the smile and the little acknowledgement about the recruiting numbers being up. Um, yes, yes, checkmate. That they were, that they were so, the greatest thing, been. And of course, they didn't like it when he said about some list that said things that he had done this thus far in his administration is the best since a guy named George Washington. And boy, they didn't like that. They jumped all over that. But your uncle and cousin were in the Marines, awesome. And it's encouraging to see our military. Of course, Pete Hegseth was there, and things he's doing. A big announcement was the naming and the of the terrorist who had killed, soldiers, and they had got on a conference call. I'm assuming that's what it was, and they they gave them that information and announced it tonight. So that they arrested. I think arrested, but they got him. Um, a little bit about Israel trying to bring peace there. Didn't mention China a whole lot. Sort of referenced it a little bit, but talked about the Russia and Ukraine towards the end, and just really hit that quick. I didn't think they would go into it too much because there's a lot of things that are going on with that. That's very much in the news, and there will be the deal that's signed, and I think they're making progress towards a ceasefire, and Zelensky is ready for that. And yeah, what's he going to do? Uh, the numbers of Ukrainians and Russians that are dying every day. Again, not anybody's going to get everything they want. Hopefully it'll come to a cessation of hostilities, and we'll just have to rock on from where it's at. But a little bit in that area, but a lot of domestic issues which he should cover. America first, trying to touch on every basis. There were some things you just have time to get to. I thought he might say more about the Department of Education. He didn't really spend too much time there, and so there were some parts, no mention of that I heard now, unless I missed something. There was a couple of times I got distracted of J6ers, or things like that. He did mention several times, the illegal activities of coming after an opponent, and talked about himself and how the left had came after him. They didn't like that. He mentioned that several times. But it was heartwarming. A lot of people as I said, in the gallery who were being recognized. And I still say they're all emotional. I mean, every single one. But it's really hard. You got the ones who had family that died. Uh, yes, West Point was in there because of the young man who's been accepted. Uh, but the young boy and his battle with his health and honorary Secret Service, I think it was, that was awesome. Precious, his dad holding him up in the air, and then the look on his face when they were saying DJ, DJ, and then when he got the badge. I mean, and then he hugs the guy's neck. I mean, you just awesome. The dad's there with his cowboy hat. I love that. That was great. And the little boy, chickmate, the little boy, and then the other young man who was accepted to the point, and his mom crying, and just that look in his eyes. Those are great things. I always celebrate those. I don't care who the president is. If you're, and I know sometimes presidents are using those things to draw political points. I get that, but we can still, as Americans, appreciate seeing Americans get some justice or be recognized for the pain they went through and how they tried to make it right or do some things to honor it. I just think how can you not honor the people? The people are not political. The people are there to represent their loved ones or themselves uh, for things that have went on, usually very serious. And that was truly heart touching. They always put stuff like that in, and they should. I mean, I think they should. And because the people, I mean, we are the people. We're the ones that elect these leaders, and they should have to face people like that have had losses of life and have overcame and things like that. I love the gentleman who was released from Russia and who he had promised right before Butler going on the stage 20 minutes before, and what was she, 95, 96 years old. And then, he goes out there and gets shot at, but he said, I didn't forget. And he got him released. Seeing them there tonight, that just makes you feel good as an American. We got this guy out of Russia. His mom's, my goodness, at her age, at any moment she could have passed. I mean, what she's been through with that. And, the fact that they were there together celebrating that, the hug for mom and all that. She definitely stood up for that. That's good stuff. That's what being an American is all about. Is we have differences. We're not all the same. We don't agree on a heck of a lot. None of us agree on everything together. I mean, look at marriages. Nobody agrees completely with their spouse. Nobody agrees completely with their kids. That's just the way it is. And so how can we expect the politicians to completely agree on stuff? That's fine. We'll battle those things out. It comes down to votes, right? That's why it's important to vote and elect the right representatives to serve you in Congress and state houses and your local governments. But my God, can't we stand up and celebrate Americans? I mean, and that's to me the overriding, as good of a speech as it was, as a rallying cry, whether people hate Trump or not. The rallying cry for what we've endured the last 4 years, the incompetence, the last 4 years of incompetence, of fraud, of criminality, of being attacked, of being talked down to then have this. He mentioned the Gulf of America about 3 times. That was cute. But this pride in America, and things that are American and the American people. That's Star Spangled Banner apple pie stuff. And I just think no matter what your level of interest in politics is, we should all be able to celebrate that. And these horrible people, that's what they are. I'll say it. They're horrible people that they put politics over people. I don't have a problem that they because I expected them to act that way for the speech, but truly disgusting display to not celebrate a young boy. Disgusting. There's no excuse for that. There is absolutely no way that you can say that you're protesting the president when you sit down for that little boy, and you're not ashamed of yourselves, but you should be. And I hope Americans let you hear about it, because if there's one thing we do in America, there's one thing that we do. We come together. We should be coming together when there's a natural disaster, because it affects everybody, no matter what your background is, your financial status, your belief systems, nothing. When a flood comes or storms comes or whatever, we stand together. Or kids or old people. How can we not celebrate the rescue of a young person or the loss of a young one, even if you disagree with the policies and who was to blame and all of that stuff. If you can't stand for someone who has lost their child, you're sick. And I'm trying to not use any stronger words than that. But that was what really irked me as I stepped out to come to the studio was, are you kidding me? I mean, after a certain point, you're just like, I mean, you just shake your head. Like, what is wrong with you? There's, you know, do you allow hate to rule your life? And I refuse to be like that. I refuse to be like that. And I'll just say, as a Christian, and there's times where there's people that don't agree with me. That's fine. Like I said, we don't all agree. But I have a duty as a Christian to pray for people in authority, and that includes, and I will pray for them. That includes Democrats. That includes Independents, Green Party, Republicans. It don't matter. Pray for and you pray for the president, the vice president, the Speaker of the House, and your boss. I mean, pray for these people. They need, you know, we're to do that, and we should serve with some sort of dignity. Dignity. We're being, you know, what we're doing is being seen by others. There's a time to have righteous indignation. There's a time for passion. There's a time for, you know, calling out when something's wrong. Absolutely, we should do that. We would be derelict in our duties if we didn't do that. But when you cannot celebrate a little boy, there's something wrong inside of you, and you need that type of person does not need to be leading an area of our country. That's sick. And I will not bend on that. I will not change on that. I don't care if Joe Biden was up there, that little boy would have got my respect, and I would have celebrated him. I had my fist up in the air like, yes. And it was a very impassioned moment. I mean, it was a very emotional moment, and it made me feel good to be a human and an American and a dad. And I just loved. I guess that was his dad up there, and I just loved that scene. And I want to get a picture of that, him holding him up. We're going to share that on the podcast. You know, I'm stunned. I'm really stunned. I expected the petulant child to come out. I expected them to have their little signs. I expected them to have certain colored clothing on, or I knew there'd be some hollering out. I was shocked at those things. Number one, a member of Congress waving a walking cane towards the president and shouting him down. I will never like that, and I will never support that, no matter the party. It's not the time. And you don't do that to the president anyway. Go outside, get a microphone, and tell the American people and shout it to the world. But don't do that in that hall. Don't wave a stick at the president of the United States. You, sir, are a jackleg, and we'll cover you on Cornbread Nation, because that is horrible. And Al Green, Senator Al Green, Texas, horrible display. I don't care what your passion is. You lost me. I don't care what you're hollering about. When you do that, you have lost David Cordell. You have lost me even wanting to listen to you, because you have done something that's third world nation crap. You don't do that. And you are an embarrassment to Congress. And I don't care who gets mad that I say that. I was embarrassed for others that hollered out at the president the last time from the other side. I don't like that. And I don't, because it leads to further breakdowns in civility and the Robert's Rules of Order. And every one of us that have ever led a meeting or been in a meeting, and some meetings can get passionate, they can be, but that's why we have to have order. That's why that's a good yes, that's a good thought there, and absolutely should. But we don't need to elicit hate and threats. And I mean, you can stew, you can be mad, you can shake your head, you can boo, but to get up and to do that is out of bounds. It's way out of bounds. It cannot be allowed, and he must be censured. And for all of them to sit and not celebrate Americans' losses and successes is unconscionable. And you are sad excuses for leaders. I will pray for you, because that is my duty as a Christian. And I won't do it with a bitter heart. I will do it honestly, because I would want that something needs to change. Something needs to change. You need to question your motives. Are you driven by hate or are you driven by service? If you're driven by service, you don't have time for hate. Hate is never good for anybody. And that's a lesson for all of us. We cannot carry hate in our heart. Hate will destroy us from the inside. And what I've seen tonight was a lot of people that said, and you could look at their faces, and you could look at their faces and you could see the hate that was on their faces. That is not the way I want to live. That is not the way I want to represent my constituency, the way I want to be representing my nation. That's just not. And I just think there should be a higher standard. But that's where we're at in America. I hear that all the time. That's politics, but that's not acceptable. At least, and it may not be against the rules, but it's a moral code. And anybody, I mean, anybody that would disrespect a child, you're sick. I'll just say, I don't care. I don't care if it was Elizabeth Warren's granddaughter. If she was celebrating something, that child gets cheered, you know, for selling the most Girl Scout cookies or whatever. You stand up and you celebrate that child, and you don't do that child that way. And hey, I'm thankful. I don't think he recognized how many of them was acting like idiots, because he was super uber shocked and excited when they started shouting his name. Truly, again, that's one of those replay moments right there. And again, when he hugged that gentleman's neck, that right there was that's the image we should have in America. Is no matter your background, what state, who you are, what color you are, what gender you are, whatever, a child is a child is a child. We should celebrate our children. We should support our children. We should certainly cheer our children on, no matter whose child it is. And when that child has love in his heart, that child had more love in his heart at that moment than all of the other people on the left had put together. I can tell you that right now. I saw that. And those people have grandchildren. Now, I'm not saying they don't love their grandchildren, but you just disrespected a little boy of color. You disrespected him. And you have to think about that. And I hope they will. And wouldn't it be great if one of their grandchildren questioned them on it? You know, did you stand up for the little boy? Boy, that'd be a good one. Again, I just, let's be adults. Let's be leaders. And you know what? To be a leader, you can't act like the crowd. You just can't descend into the chaos. To be a real leader, you actually go against the grain. You will make the right call when it's the right call, because that's the right thing to do. And again, it's not an easy thing. You can see in the speaker's face, he did not want to have to do that. He had tried 4 or 5 times. In fact, 3 or 4 more other times he was silent, where he didn't want to interrupt the president. He waited for a moment, then he banged the gavel, and then he appealed to him at least twice to sit down. And he refused, and then he waves that stick again, cane, whatever it is, I'll just call it a stick, and shouted, and then they told him to remove him. And I really believe that the sergeant at arms, they came up and talked to him, and I'm sure what they were saying was something like, I have to remove you, let's not make a scene. Because he's an older man. He's a member of Congress. They wouldn't want to have to grab him up and drag him out of there. Those would be horrible scenes. And all of the world is watching. And I guess some people I've seen that said maybe he wanted his 15 minutes of fame. Well, you got it, but you got it in a bad way. Now, I'm sure there were people in his district that were cheering him on. Yeah. But there needs to be others that stand up and go, come on, that's not what we do. And I would hope that there's some that will do that. I don't want to belabor the point too much, but it's going to be talked about a lot. And, I figured after the first little yells and whistles and cat calls and boos, and if they had noisemakers, it did get loud. I thought after that they would quiet down. And honestly, once they removed Senator Green, it did. They mainly stayed, to give the Democrats some credit. I think they realized, I think there had probably been there were some communication from the Democrats that they didn't need to look bad, which they did anyway. But there were talks about them doing more. There was talk about a staged walkout on the president. Would have been a bad move, and the Democrat leaders, the ones in position of authority, I'm sure, said no, we're not going to do that. Not everybody was saying or hollering things, and some did clap, although seated, most of them. There were a few claps for a few things. I noticed it's mostly from the older ones. A lot of young ones, this is where the radicalization, I think, comes in. It's a little more radical, but there were some. And like I said, to be fair, on the Republican side, there has been a little bit of that in recent memory, and I didn't care for that activity. And some laughed at that, but I thought this is setting a precedent that is not helpful, and let's just not do that. You have to maintain self-control. That's also a sign of maturity. It's a sign of leadership. If you call yourself a Christian, it's certainly a sign of your Christian faith in action. And a Christian just can't say, well, I couldn't help myself, or the devil made me do it, or, some lame excuse like that. We have to remain in control of our mouths, and we have to remain in control of our actions. And yes, that's a tall challenge sometimes, because sometimes there's that flesh part of us that wants to we want to do the wrong thing. We do. Let's face it. We want retribution. We want to be hard, but it is the Jesus in us that says no. That the Holy Spirit speaking, no, don't do that. Have some to have some self-control, or call it Jesus control. Maybe not self, but Jesus control, and allow your faith to guide you. And I think it could have been worse, believe it or not. I think it could have been worse. And I was concerned that once it got started, that it was not going to stop. And I'm thankful that even though there were things that I'm speaking very hard on, I think there were enough people that had respect and authority on that side to show leadership enough to say we're not going to do that. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful. Because there are some things there where they showed they were childish, petulant, that they were, they embarrassed themselves, they embarrassed the body, and they embarrassed America on the world stage. But there's just some people who think that's acceptable. I don't, and so I would again, kudos to the speaker for maintaining control. This was a longer speech than I thought it was going to be. Of course, it's always a little late getting started as they make their way in. There's a lot of, the announcements of the different Congress people that are walking in, the Supreme Court, who, by the way, not all the Supreme Court shows up. There was 4 or 5 there, I think 5, a mix of conservative to liberal. And they said going all the way back to Reagan that some of that had really occurred. Well, all of them don't show up. It puts them in a difficult spot. They said that President Obama had really tried to shame them into all showing up. But Clarence Thomas wasn't there. There were Alito, he was not there, and there a couple of more. But I did see Kagan. I did see Kavanaugh. I did and two others, or maybe 3 others, and they were there. And another person was there, Elon Musk, and of course he was up in the the gallery, and he was recognized 2 or 3 times at least, and was was showing appreciation because the president spoke on Doge and he spoke on Elon, and his quote there was he didn't need this, like he's very successful, he didn't need this. And so very nice to see him there. And that was the other thing that they had on the I knew I'd remember on the paddles was it looked like an auction house. You have the little stick with the like a number on it. It looked like we're at an auction house, which some made some comments online I wasn't comfortable with commenting back on, but oh boy, there was some tough ones there about what that looked like, but I'm not going to go there. But Elon, what was it? Something about Elon. Elon stole or whatever. It was something like that. So he was there. Uh, a nice shout out again to Robert Kennedy Jr. A nice, pretty good shot back across the bow when he said, with a name like Kennedy, you would think that this group over here would like you or say something or cheer. But he said, how soon they forget. And there was a few hollers out then because the Democratic Party does not like him whatsoever, and his own family has turned on him. But in talking about him working on autism and the causes, and we're going to get to the bottom of it, and some other things that was quickly mentioned, and he was very appreciative of the president for talking about that in the speech. There were a few others I thought he might mention. He did mention Pam Bondi a little bit. He did give a shout out to Kash Patel. There was maybe one or two others, but he didn't go with a couple that I thought that he might mention. There was again really not a whole lot on the foreign diplomacy part. A little bit, like I said, of the Middle East, Ukraine, Russia. A slight, talk about uh, Japan. Maybe a little bit about China. Talking about the Honda plant that's opening in Indiana. Shout out to their senator. And a big deal that is. Of course, it was just announced the chip maker, the largest chip maker in Taiwan, which that's really what those Chinese are wanting, those chips. And so you can kind of see all this stuff lining up. The chip maker announcing a huge investment in America to build, oh goodness, two or three factories of those, and getting them smaller and smaller and more powerful, which will be used in, of course, everything that is anything and of course the mineral deal announced with that. They'll need that. So big wins for America. So a lot on energy, a lot of talk about tariffs, inflation, uh, having more money in your paycheck. Uh, he talked about the no tips, taxes on tips. There's several things. It was so many, so I don't want to try to list them and forget about stuff. I just wanted to come on and give some commentary to that. We'll be on in the morning, so I'm not going to stay on real late at 6 a.m. with the morning show. Please join us if you're up. If not, join us tomorrow night, and we'll have Hump Day news. And I don't think we got a guest, or I don't think we have a theme. We'll probably dive into some of this, and maybe, just maybe, we can show a few clips. We'll see if we can get some of that done to do that. So I will leave you to the evening. It is bad weather. I'm going to bat down the hatches, be with my family, and just pray that everything goes well. Let's pray for those that are already without power. I hope that doesn't happen here. Nobody wants to see that happen. But in this type of wind, and now it's raining. Fortunately, we have not had rain for a little bit, so the ground is fairly hard. If this had happened after days of rain, we'd be in trouble. But pray across the South as these winds reach incredible speeds. There are potentials for tornadoes in the area. And again, the kids in my area are on a 2-hour delay, which is going to be a big mess. For me, I usually run several kids to school. I will be at a meeting in about 40 minutes away, and I can't do it. So hopefully some parents can scramble. That's always hard, but I appreciate them thinking safety first with the kids. What else is going on? There's so many things that are in the news. Oh, and I did want to say I appreciated him talking about the Lakin Riley Act and the Lakin's mom and sister being there, and the other lady whose child was viciously killed, and recognizing them and those acts and how they memorialize that. Very moving. Especially for me in the state of Georgia, this young lady jogging at the University of Georgia. I thought that was great. It's hard that it happened, but the president, giving an impassioned speech that we are in the golden age of America, and it's going to be the greatest era of the United States, and uh, but yeah, I just pulled up Fox, and that little boy being raised up and him waving, cancer survivor, and he becomes a Secret Service agent. That's the win for tonight. That there's a lot of wins tonight, but that was a great win. And the lowest was the Democrat Al Green. That's the low point, and there's a lot of points in between. There's some other low points. There's some other high points. But yeah, uh, there was the swimmer. Oh, what's her name? Riley. She was there. He talked about getting boys out of women's sports, and they had the volleyball player there that had the boy that, of course, was identifying as a female, spiked the ball into her face, caused severe damage, brain issues, and everything. She was there. Uh, and he talked about those things as well. So he did mention that. Like I said, there was a lot in the speech. It's a very long speech. I don't remember the exact time frame, but that speech went on for just a little bit, over an hour, I know. And I would say, I'm just guessing, about an hour and 15 minutes, give or take. I think it might have been just slightly more than that, but that's a pretty good guess. I meant to clock it and I didn't, because again, I don't remember what time that exactly started. So, but it was certainly over an hour, and it may have been an hour 20, 25. A very long speech, but a good over an hour. And hey, Chick, glad to have you back. But very, very nice. It's good. Those are hard things. People got to work. It's a late start. But again, and he said we're just getting started. And that's why I say this was a moment to stand up, celebrate, lay down the challenge, celebrate what they've done, and then go to move forward, whether people like him or not. It's not the point here. The point is the next few weeks, maybe a few months, are going to be a little tough. And I think the administration has pretty much said that we're going to get there as fast as we can. So they're moving very quickly. He talked about that, and it it will move very quickly. And there's going to be more people lose their jobs in the government, obviously. Um, he did talk about woke. So that Pete Hegseth is not for woke. I kind of got a little laughter there. Um, the president said he's a superstitious person, so he didn't want to do the tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs on April 1st, so he made it on April 2nd. He talked about that. The Abbey Gate plotter, that's what they're calling that he identified. He was arrested. That was a big to those people who lost their soldiers, their children, in that. That was a $52.7 billion semiconductor deal, semiconductor chip subsidy law he talked about. South Korea, Japan. South Korea was mentioned. I remember Japan. I forgot about South Korea. Wanted to be a partner with the U.S. on the pipeline. Uh, he said he's working tirelessly to end the Ukraine war, and he hails the unstoppable America. Some of the headlines that are coming out after this. I did not have time to sit and listen to the Democrat response. I heard who was going to do it. I'll go back and look at that. I always do. I'm sure it was scathing in in their remarks, but we'll review that. Um, but again, it was time to get on air or not be able to do it, and I wanted to have time to do that. So military aid has been paused to Ukraine until they get this figured out, and hopefully they can just come to uh, come to a stoppage of that. So we'll see. Hope you watched it. If not, go back and look at clips, get the Cliff Notes version or whatever. Uh, okay. And yeah, Russia, everybody needs to heal. But war is hell. It is. Uh, Hopefully you'll have a good night's rest. Hopefully it's not storming where you are. Again, pray for us. We'll see you in the morning on the Southern Fried, being Rob. We talked this afternoon. Y'all pray for him. He took a little tumble. He has seizures. He did go to the doctor today. I think he found some good stuff, but he's working on his little garden spot and took a little tumble. And I'm glad it's not storming there, Chick. By the way, did you get good news the first of the week on your thing? You can just pop that in there if you did while I'm still on here. Did you find out anything that's helpful? So yes, prayers and blessings to Rob. He's okay, but he did ding his knee up a little bit. Uh, I'll pray for him and just pray for all those. Okay, thank you, Chick. We'll confer on that. And good night, everybody. God bless you, and God bless America. And I can say that I have no ill will in my heart towards anybody. I'm just calling it like I see it, and what I saw was the disrespectful and distasteful. And there's no defense of it. You just don't do children that way. And I will never waver on that. That you don't tear down a child, you don't embarrass a child, you don't be mean to a child, you don't abuse a child, you don't neglect a child. You can go on and on and on. And someone that does that, there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. And it tells me all I need to know about them. That is all I need to know. Check. That's a big check mark for me. I know who you are now. If you're going to do a child that way, and you're going to let your hate for someone in politics get in the way, check. And I don't care what party they are. If you cannot celebrate a child, there's something wrong with you. Some people don't like children. Let's be honest. And some people, their own agenda is more important than children. That's why we got so many child issues in America. Pray for our children in America. They need it. Uh, yeah, I can't understand it. I love kids. I love kids. Yeah, they can get on your nerves. Your last one. Uh, but, uh, but my God, how could you not? That was a great, I didn't know that was going to be coming up. That was a great moment in that. I don't care for what reason they had it there. Give me that boy every day. I hope he's plastered all over the front pages of every newspaper, internet newspaper site, podcast, whatever, in all of America. That that was the coolest thing I have seen in a long time. And the young man being accepted to the point and didn't know that was coming. That's what makes America great. So I will choose to remember those things and not the embarrassment of adults acting less, not even childlike, because children don't do that. I said they act like children. No, let me take that back. They acted worse than that. They act like beasts. I mean, you know, you just can't, barbarians. You can't do that. That's not childlike because children don't do that. If they do, they've been raised the wrong way. I was talking about one last thing. My grandchildren were talking about this boy that how he acted up at school and how he berated the teacher and he got put into an institution. They said he's being raised by his grandmother and she doesn't care and she buys him stuff she shouldn't buy him and all that. That's horrible. A young man is being set up to be a future felon of America. Uh, you know, uh, the kids were joking around there about going back home, and not going to school. Said, you could just take us home. I said, well, your parents wouldn't like that. And one of them said, well, they wouldn't know they're gone. I'm like, yeah, but I would know and you would know. And they were joking. And I said, don't be skipping school. I said, don't do that. My granddaughter knows what would happen if she ever thought about doing something like that. That's why you have people in your life that care about you and set boundaries. And we're not here to be agreeable with everything. We're here to set rules, to set guidance with love, and to let people know that we keep them away from harm because we love them with all of our heart, and that we'd lay down our life for them. And I certainly would do that. So jack legs of the week, jack wagons. Let me upgrade that. Jack wagons. Every one of you in Congress that didn't stand for that little boy, you told me all I need to know about your heart. That's what I'll say. I'll end on that. God bless you. Thanks for watching the Southern Pride podcast. And thanks for all the kind comments. I had one comment tonight on TikTok said they love us. Miss Mary may not be watching, but thank you so much. It means everything. We have fun what we do. We appreciate that somebody likes what we do. And we can all celebrate that. And again, there's people in here that come from many backgrounds. We're not all the same. We're not supposed to be, but we are friends. And to my friends, I salute you and I say good night, and we'll see you next time soon. Take care and God bless. And I'm going to play the music on the way out because I like it. Thank you, Jake. He's not in here tonight, but thank you, Jake, for supplying us the song. And what a blessing it is. We're making new backgrounds. We're changing a lot of stuff up. And I'm fixing to get out of the studio because it's rocking out here. Sounds like things are hitting the building. So I'm going to bed and praying.
Oh, well, it's early in the morning, grab a cup and tune on in. Robert and Dave got that southern charm, let the laughter begin. From the morning funny to Maga Minute, ain't no better way to start your day the southern way, with a little joke and pray. We're just southern folks talking southern things, front porch swinging where the church bells rang. From Mama Said to Hump Day News, we keep it real with down-home views. Sunday morning in the Word, get that gospel flow. Prayer time calls, so let's let our troubles go. Come Monday night, Mama Said is bringing the truth. And when it's night talk with Dave, man, you know it's getting loose. We're just southern folks talking southern things, stories and sports where the good times hang. From SFP News to I Remember That, we tell it like it is, and that's a fact. Got our veteran of the week, gotta show our pride. Pets of the week, bringing love worldwide. Talking paranormal, digging true crime. Southern fried stories all the dang time. So pull up a chair, y'all, and stay a while. Ain't nothing like that southern style. From the morning show to the soundstage band, it's SFP Live, won't you give 'em a hand?